In Colorado courts, polygraph test, hypnotic trances, conjecture evidence, and quig, QEEG, which is actually a queef of a acronym, quig testing, and voice print analysis are not admissible into a court of law, record, and fact in the state of Colorado. So, again, in the state of Colorado, what's good evidence? Videotape, photograph, eyewitnesses, those are good evidence. But polygraph test, hypnotic trances, voice print analysis, quig testing, conjecture evidence via 1981 Anderson, Colo 1990 District Court, Colo 1984 Rex, App 1982 Quintanar, App 1981 Diaz, App People in the Interest of MSH, Colo 1983 Decision People in the Interest of MSH, which, is that the best we could do? Is that the best we could do? Couldn't you just MSH of Manny? Martin? People in the interest of Martin? Mash? People in the interest of Mish? 1981 Botham and 1997 Tran v. Hilburn. So the standard for the inclusion appeals decision, Tran v. Hilburn, is quig. The standard for the inclusion of evidence into Colorado courts, I don't know voice print analysis, though. Voice print analysis, I saw it. It was in this stupid big-ass book here, this LexisNexis book, this fucking Colorado criminal laws of, of Colorado. So there's like this section here, right? This all Title 18 shit, but at the very end you got some stuff that's, you got some of the criminal procedure rules, and then you got some of the rules of evidence. And then somewhere I saw the rules of evidence was at voice print analysis, and I've skimmed through it twice, and I can't come back to it. I see quig right there, and then video fluoroscopy is right there. Inconclusive and no conclusion DNA evidence is not relevant direct evidence. People v. Marks, 2015 appeals decision. So I'm looking not for that. Police officers employed in crime lab may testify as experts. That's People v. Hankin, 1972. Colorado Supreme Court decision. Voice print analysis. Voice print analysis. Kind of want to make sure I get that DNA evidence thing written down. So maybe I'll find voice print analysis some other time, but it's in here somewhere, okay? It's in there somewhere. 2020, 2021 edition, LexisNexis. The standard for the inclusion of evidence into Colorado courts is relevant and material. Relevant and material. All evidence that is relevant and material is admissible, and all evidence that's not relevant and material is not admissible. That's pretty clear, cut, and dry, and that's CRE. CRE, now, that is the Colorado Rules of Evidence. And here you got the Colorado Rules of Evidence. It's a little handbook, and they also put how you do the objections. They got how you do the objections here. Professor John Barkai and Turner Wong, 2021. So with common objections, evidentiary foundations. So you have, let's see, Rule 402. It's right there. Article 4, relevancy and its limits. Definition of relevant evidence is 401. And then relevant evidence is generally admissible, sometimes on prejudice, confusion, or waste of time. Now that's prejudicial. That's a total waste of time. That's confusing. But in general, if it's not, there's some other, it's liberal. Most evidence gets thrown into a Colorado court. Most evidence is accepted in a Colorado court. And that makes sense because the judge is a trier of the law. And the jury is a trier of fact. And since the jury is the trier of fact, that means the jury needs all the relevant and material information that's out there so they can make an informed decision. They need to know every relevant, every piece, every snippet, So, 401, Colorado Rules of Evidence 401 states that the definition of relevant evidence is evidence having any tendency to make the existence of any fact that is of consequence to the determination of the action more probable or less probable than it would be without the evidence. Therefore, any and every piece, article, or snippet of evidence which adds to the overall picture, adds to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth is relevant and material. Then it's allowable and it's admissible, and the jury needs to take a look at it so they can actually make the best goddamn decision. There is. Colorado law commands that most pieces of evidence must be admitted. 2001 Medina appeals. If you think about the words relevant and material, it's like objects, and you can bring objects in. Objects are actually very good pieces of evidence. You can see the object. So you can, get a sense of what the heck was actually going on. Relevant and material. Evidence that helps to bring light to the truth of the series of events that happen should be admitted. Colorado's rules of evidence are very liberal. 2001 Medina appeals case note. The man punched a woman in the throat at a party and then leaves. So whatever. 2001 Medina appeals. Medina. This case says that you accept the rules of evidence. It's liberal. You bring in all the evidence. Yeah, every piece. All the video, all the photographs. Experts is one thing, but all the eyewitnesses, all the photographs, all the videotapes of all the crimes. Come one, come all. The arresting officer, definitely. Everyone who's been subpoenaed, if you paid $130 for subpoena, everybody who's a part of the case. And so there is something about eyewitnesses, right? The whole damn thing's about eyewitnesses. Evidence of other crimes is admissible to prove res reste, some bullshit Latin term, which means the events, circumstances, remarks, etc., which relate to a particular case, especially as constituting admissible evidence in a court of law. So res reste just means admissible evidence in a court of law. That's what we're talking about. What the fuck? Like we need a Latin term. Well, we gotta prove res reste. So 1994 Workman appeals. 2011 Tomek Zek appeals decision. Autopsy photos are admissible. DNA evidence from multiplex DNA systems. So generally when I think of DNA, it's like, okay, nope, they got the DNA. So, but I don't know any of the science behind the DNA. It's just that it's backed by science. So I'm sure there's like different testing. Multiplex DNA testing systems were admissible and properly included. 2001 Shrek. It's a Colorado Supreme Court decision. Videotape, which is both videotape and audio tape, is admissible. Videotape is identical representation of the truth. Videotape is self-authenticating and self-validating. And that's according to Henry 2017 Valdez. That's the Supreme Court. It's the Colorado Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court says that, of course, they were dealing with surveillance videotape. The only way that I know how to, you could doctor it, right? You can like cut it up and shit and add music to it. So that stuff is obvious. The only other thing that you would be worried about with videotape is deep fakes. And there are deep fakes and people are getting real good at that shit. I don't know the technology of it. I don't have the software. And I think it's like just turning people into Tom Cruise right now and shit. So it's not like setting here's videotape and surveillance tape. I think most videotape, if a lay person comes up with a videotape on their camera phone or a camcorder, the Zapruder film. I believe in the Zapruder film. I believe the Zapruder film shows the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Does Zapruder need to come in and say that he videotaped that? Are you the one who videotaped it? Yes. How do we know that for sure? I don't know. It's fucking videotape. We see JFK get his head shot. He's choking and then his head goes back into the left. Videotape is self-authenticating, self-validating. Henry 2017 Valdez, Colorado Supreme Court decision. Fingerprints is properly included into the pile of evidence. So let's review. Autopsy photos, okay. DNA from multiplex DNA testing systems, okay. Fingerprints, okay. Relevant and material. Relevant and material. All right, let's keep on going. Let's just actually read over all of these and then get into the meat and potatoes of the whole 1971 Hervey to 1971 Hervey, Colorado Supreme Court decision, 1972 Solis, Colorado. So fingerprints. We got, let's see here. Evidence of other crimes is admissible. Evidence of other crimes is admissible. Autopsy photos is admissible. DNA from multiplex DNA testing systems is admissible. Fingerprints is admissible. Objects are admissible too. There's a thermostat in the 93 Simon v. Coppola. 3 weapons and a holster were admitted that's material evidence in the 1994 Ridenour Appeals decision. In the Ridenour Appeals decision. So a thermostat, 3 weapons and a holster, circumstantial evidence. Now, circumstantial evidence is good evidence. It's not the smoking gun. It's not the videotape. I got videotape of a guy actually clicking his gun. I got videotape evidence of felony menacing on camera, on tape, and that still didn't convince any sheriff or judge or DA. That convinced nobody. I don't think we need to get used to asking the question, what evidence do you have? Just for everything. For anything that anybody ever says, for any fucking thing. Oh, you really care about me? Yeah, where's the evidence? Oh, you really hate me? Well, where's the evidence? I'm not believing any bullshit anymore. Circumstantial evidence is good evidence. Objects is good evidence. 3 weapons in a holster, a thermostat, fingerprints. Let's see here. Video fluoroscopy. That's chiropractic. Remember the queef technology? The video fluoroscopy is the good technology. You can't do that Quig testing, but you can do video fluoroscopy. And what is that? It's an X-ray motion picture of a patient's bones and soft tissues in motion. So I'm not for sure. It could just be a camcorder that records an X-ray as it's taking an X-ray. So you see the X-ray, in real time. That's what it sounds like to me. You could figure it out more information. 1997 Tran via Hilburn Appeals decision. Common sense dictates that videotape, photographs, eyewitness testimonies of good and honest, credible witnesses. I mean, if you don't know the person, you have to presume they're credible. You have to presume that what they're saying is credible until they contradict themselves, until until you catch them in a blatant lie. Some of the white lies of the big rig Nazi was he said I was chasing him with a gun. And then he pulls into the driveway next door. And then where do I go? I just disappeared to a poof of smoke. He also said he didn't see me when I first pulled up. He didn't see me when I first pulled up. I'm 6'1". I got 5 dogs running around me. How can he not see me? How can he not see me? He's looking around. He says he's lost. He made the wrong turn. So he's looking over here, looking over there. He don't see a 6-foot-tall man with 5 dogs in it. The fuck if he didn't. The big rig Nazi definitely fucking saw me. I'm yelling. Not only am I just 6 foot tall and got 5 dogs, I'm looking at the guy. I'm looking at him. I'm looking directly at him. And he's looking directly at me. I remember this. And I'm telling him to get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. So why did he jerk his wheel? Why did he felony menace me first? Because I told him to get the fuck out of here. I was kind of being rude as shit. But he was slowing down. Big rig fucking Nazi motherfucker. You're taking the attention of my dogs. My dogs are running towards the guy. He jerked his steering wheel towards me. So the big rig Nazi definitely felony menaced me first. What's the point? videotape, photographs, and eyewitnesses. There are 4 eyewitnesses to those series of events. So I'm going to fire 3 warning shots and then drive around my house and then park in front of my house. I'm waiting to see what he does next. Motherfucker, come around my house. I'm just peacefully walking my dogs. Now I have to walk inside my house and get a damn shotgun, you dickhead. Why am I not allowed to walk my dogs in peace? Why can't I go bike riding? Every time I go to do anything like that, anytime I go to fix my fence, go to the post office, go to the grocery store. Hey, there's Phil Greeny driving right by, going back and forth, back and forth. Does he have a gun? Is he going to drive into me? Is he going to drive around me? Who the fuck knows? But it's definitely felony menacing like a motherfucker. No fucking way a cop is just going to sit there and take any of this bullshit. No fucking way. Cops don't have empathy. Cops don't know how to empathize. And they got egos, so they can't, if... Common sense dictates that videotape, photographs, and eyewitness testimonies of good and honest witnesses are top-notch pieces of evidence. There's 4 eyewitnesses. Nick and Noah were eyewitnesses, and then you also had... I believe I saw Nick and Noah. There was 1 or 2 people that was out there in front of one of their houses. And then the only way you can find out or not, according to the victim's rights definition of a witness, is say, hey, did you see anything? Nobody got that confirmation. Hey, Nick and Noah, did you see anything? Phil Greeny comes to my house 1 or 2 days later. He's got a photograph in his hand. How's photograph not relevant and material evidence? I got subpoena power, but so does the prosecution and so does the court. If there's 4 eyewitnesses and then there's Phil Greeny who's been stalking the shit out of me, who's got a photograph in his hand of the female that's living in his house, his accomplice, his partner in crime. She was an eyewitness. She was an eyewitness. After I fired 3 warning shots, I get in my truck and I drive around the block and I park in front of my house. I stop by her house and I flip the house off. I'm yelling at the house. She pops out, pretends she didn't hear me. And then as I drive away, she also had her hands behind her back. I guess as I drive away, she takes a photograph. While that's not pretty, that's not great, driving to people's houses and flipping them off or whatever, but I was sick of the bullshit, and he stopped by their house, and he says he didn't see anybody over there, but he's a fucking liar, and I didn't ask him if he knew the people. Do you know Phil Greeny? Do you know Jacqueline Mitchell? Because I suspect that he does. So 4 eyewitnesses. If you want to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, how come the prosecution nor the court? They also never asked what the hell happened. 24 appearances. Basically, the entire system is the cops kidnap you and then the fucking courts fuck you over. The cops nab you and the court slab you. Man, I've been in this life a long time. I've been in this life a long time. So, good evidence, videotape, photographs, eyewitness testimonies. If you don't know them to be a pathological liar, you'll have to prove that. You want to say, that's not true, because you're so smart and disagreeable and you're a piece of shit who can't empathize. Can you prove that it's not true? Can you prove it's true? Can you prove it's not true? You got to at least ask the question. And then Robert Pickerel. So Robert Pickerel is a criminal, notorious criminal piece of shit, devil-worshipping, notorious criminal piece of shit. He's a criminal who kept criminalizing, just like Phil Greeny. He's a criminal who kept on criminalizing. Noah Spalding kind of fucked with me for a day or two, and so did Nick. I showed all these people that I was kind people, and I feel like that was the fatal mistake. Being kind is kind of not very strong and powerful, though. But I was being kind and genuine because I wanted kindness and genuineness back to me. Most of the courtroom trials revolve around testimonies, eyewitness, expert, or otherwise. So you got to get the one person and the other person, and then you got the lawyers and then experts, and then anybody that's, you got to have the eyewitnesses are subpoenas, the right to subpoena. You have a right, the accused can bring in, compel whoever, 6th Amendment, the Article 2, Section 16, CRCP Rule 17 also says we got a right to subpoena. So again, eyewitnesses. I think that the courts in Colorado like eyewitnesses, I feel like I read about the jury trials. It just seems like it was short and to the point. There was only like 2 pages of rules when it comes to a jury trial. Only 2 pages of rules. You sure you don't want like maybe 3 or 4? But my point was something about subpoenas, eyewitnesses. Colorado courts are all centered around subpoenas. Get your subpoenas. It was interesting, actually, how when I turned in the subpoenas, the subpoena process was fascinating. I turned in the subpoenas a long time ago. I had like 10 to 20 people. Basically, just get everybody in the room. Let's figure out what's going on. You got a foregone conclusion, right? The cops have kidnapped me, and so the judge and the DAs just want to fuck me over, right? They just want to bend my fucking will, just twist my arm, stomp on my toe, roll their eyes, say every rude remark, try to entrap me, try to, do something, right? Try to fuck me up in some way, try to get me to content myself, try to fuck me up in some way, shape, or form. Instead of saying, what happened? And what's the best way forward? Instead of just saying, okay, well, he's arrested, so that person's innocent, that person's guilty, and we're just going to double down on that as if that's 100% certain. It's incredible that the lies were allowed to be turned into the court, but the truth wasn't. Well, he's got a foregone conclusion. He's got a conclusion in need of evidence and arguments. Evidence of threats against witness was properly admitted in 1995. Eggert, evidence of witnesses' fear of retaliation is okay, proper and admissible. 2006, Villalobos. Dog tracking evidence is okay, proper and admissible. 1999, Brooks. Colorado Supreme Court decision. Video animation of shaken baby syndrome was declared to be okay, proper and admissible as well. 2001, Cawley appeals. Coroner's report and death certificates were allowed to be admitted. 1983, Bernstein versus Rosenthal appeals. Kelly Blue Book was admitted properly into the evidence to be considered by the jury. 210, Thornton appeals. Finding out a person's gang affiliation was ruled to be okay, proper, and admissible. 1993, Mendoza appeals. 94, Mendoza appeals. 2015, Clark appeals. 94, Fernandez appeals. 1998, Webster appeals. In 1994, Moya appeals. A lot of court cases there. 6 case laws. You're welcome. Colorado, a defendant's own statement was held admissible. 1983, Berger Levy appeals. Maryland, Berger Levy, the defendant told her male accomplice that he wrote too big and too sloppy, so therefore he shouldn't forge those credit card slips. Nope, she said it in her own capacity. Maryland, Berger Levy had said what she said in her own capacity, plus it was related. It's relevant and material to the charges, so not hearsay. A defendant's own statement can be held against them, therefore it can be also held in favor of them. Some experiments were held to be okay, proper, and admissible. 1981, McCombs appeals. Facebook messages, okay, proper, and admissible. 2015, Glover appeals. Text messages, promissory notes, good evidence. 2017, Heisler appeals. 2019, Dominguez appeals. 92, Smith v. Windrop appeals. Information on cell phones was not hearsay. 2009, Buckner appeals. The defendant's flight was held to be admissible. Perry, 2002, appeals. When the defendant left the restaurant after he saw the witness was held to be relevant and material as well. 1984, Trujillo appeals. Sometimes cumulative evidence is tossed out and sometimes it's not. Cumulative means repetitive. Trial court can reject cumulative evidence. 1994, Salas appeals. However, if the evidence is relevant and material, then the admission is not merely error just because the evidence is cumulative. So what the hell is any of this meaning? 1983, Unrein, UNREIN appeals decision. What all this means is that they could throw out something if it's cumulative, if it's redundant, if it's repetitive, but ultimately, to prove a major fact, you need a number of pieces of evidence. And if the other side doesn't concede the fact, then the judge would be safe in admitting all of it into the record. You could say, okay, no to the, cumulative. But you could also say yes to it all too. It's up to the judge, the discretion. So sometimes cumulative evidence is okay and sometimes it's not. The judge is the trier of law. The jury is the trier of fact. The 12 jurors need all of the relevant material information there is pertaining to this case. If there's something that's overly redundant, the court is well within their discretion to chuck it out with a cumulative objection. 83 unread. Appeal. Sometimes silence is admissible. Sometimes it's not. 1983 Quintana. So let's review. The defendant's flight, admissible. Defendant left the restaurant after he saw the witness, admissible. Cumulative evidence, sometimes admissible, sometimes not. Some experiments, I guess objective experiments would probably be admissible. Subjective experiments, no. Facebook messages, yes. Text messages, yes. Information on cell phones, yes. A defendant's own statement held admissible. 1983 Berger Levy appeals. Coroner's report and death certificates are allowed to be admitted. 1983 Bernstein v. Rosenthal appeals. Kelly Blue Book. The person's gang affiliation was good evidence. Evidence of threats against the witness was okay. Evidence of a witness's fear of retaliation is okay, proper, admissible. Dog tracking evidence, okay. Video animation of shaken baby syndrome was declared to be okay, proper, and admissible. Video fluoroscopy, eyewitnesses. Circumstantial evidence, it's okay. 3 weapons in a holster, good, okay. Yes, yes, yes. A thermostat, yes, it could be included into the pile of evidence to be considered by the jury. Fingerprints is good evidence. DNA is good evidence. Autopsy photos is good evidence. Evidence of other crimes is admissible. Material and relevant is the general standards and in Colorado courts. Voice print analysis, Quig testing, conjecture evidence, hypnotic trances, and polygraph test are all not admissible. No. No. Look, Your Honor, I hypnotized all the witnesses, and they told me they know who killed JFK. I got a lot of conjecture evidence. I put them on a polygraph. And even though they weren't lying, I did keep on slamming my fist on the table. I had my friends make a bunch of loud noise outside. Quig testing, voice print analysis,